Hey guys, my name is Avinash and I'm back with a new video. So basically AWS introduced a new option to get connected to our private subnet EC2 instances which is running without any internet, like without any NAT gateway or internet gateway or transit gateway. Such type of EC2 instances also we can get connected to now. So earlier, whatever EC2 instance you have, if you have a public IP address, you can use an option called Instance Connect, right? You just select instance, click on connect, then select instance connect and get connected to it. So, but now AWS added a new option there. So to use that option, all you need to do is you just need to create an endpoint, and with the help of that endpoint, you can get connected to over the browser, or you can use your local SSH client to get connected to that instance. So I'll try to explain that feature now. So I'm going to do everything from scratch. So let me go to VPC and I'm going to create a VPC now. So I'll use this VPC creation wizard. I'm going to select VPC and more, and the name SSH demo is a VPC name I'm giving, and you can go with /16 or anything, like anything you can go between /28 to /16. I'm good to go with the default one, or we can even give /20. AWS is going to calculate that. And I'm going to segregate this VPC. I'm going to span this VPC across two availability zones. I don't want any public subnets. So generally public subnets means we are going to have a route over the internet gateway, right? I don't want any route over the internet gateway, and I'm going to take two private subnets, and also no NAT gateway. So whenever you are setting none to this NAT gateway, what happen? You are not going to get internet to these private subnet EC2 instances. So here we are creating two subnets. What are all the instances you are going to launch within that subnets? You won't get internet. Okay, I'm going to set it to none. Also, I don't want this endpoint. I don't want to access any AWS resources like a S3 or a DynamoDB. So defaultly it allows to S3. So I'm going to set it to none, then create VPC. All right, a new VPC created. This is a brand new VPC. So generally we will get only one default security group, right? So now I'm going to launch an EC2 instance within this newly created VPC in one of the subnet. Okay, so I'll try to get connected to it with the browser option as well as my local SSH option. So let's navigate to EC2, navigate to instances, launch instance. What name you want to give? Um, I'm going to call this as EC2 Instance Connect Demo, EIC Demo. I'm going to take Amazon Linux 2. I'm not completely familiar with this Amazon Linux 2023 yet. So I'm using Amazon Linux 2, T2 Micro, and I'm going with an existing key pair. I have this key pair in my local laptop. Then edit network settings, and I'm going to choose a VPC I created, and I'm going to select one of the subnet. You can go with 1A or 1B, anything is fine. And I'm not going to allocate any public IP address. Even if you allocate, there is no use. And I'm going to create a new security group. I'll call this as a EIC instance. Okay, so this is instance security group for EIC demo. Right, so port number 22, currently I'm opening it for everyone. So that is not at all recommended setting. I'm going to modify it after creating this launch instance. All right, so now an EC2 instance launched, and that too in our custom VPC and in AP South 1A. Right, it's in pending state. Let's change the status to running state now. All right, it's in running state. So generally, if you have an EC2 instance in public subnet, right, so what we can do, we can select this instance, we can click on connect, and the first option, EC2 Instance Connect, and we can select this connect using EC2 Instance Connect. You can give the default username and click on connect. But you just observe this feature is disabled now. The reason, we don't have any public IP address. Even if you generate an elastic IP address, if you manually associate and if you try to connect, it won't work. Why? Because it's running in a private subnet. Okay. So the newly introduced option, which I'm really impressed with, is this connect using EC2 Instance Connect endpoint. Okay, so for our Amazon Linux 2, the default username is EC2-user, and once I establish a session, it's going to be active for 1 year, 1 hour. So the maximum is 1 hour, minimum is 1 second. And here we need to choose the endpoint we required. But I don't have any endpoint at moment in this VPC. So I cannot get connected to it. So all I need to do is I need to go to VPC. I need to create an EC2 Instance Connect endpoint. And I need to adjust security group of my EC2 instance as well as the endpoint. So for that, navigate to VPC. So you can see new VPC is here, SSH demo -VPC. Go to endpoints and create an endpoint. I don't have any endpoint here. Create endpoint, and I'm going to call this as EIC Endpoint, and I'm going to select EC2 Instance Connect Endpoint. So then it is asking in what VPC you want to run. I'm going to select my custom VPC, and you see here it's asking me to select a security group. So I just want to create a new security group for this endpoint, and I want to associate it. Whenever you are creating a security group for this endpoint, so you can do one thing. So basically these security group for your endpoints doesn't require any traffic to be open in inbound roles. Okay, let me create one now. So I'm going to call this as EIC Endpoint SG, EIC Endpoint security group, and make sure you select your custom VPC. I'm not going to open anything. So all you need to do is to what are all the specific EC2 instances you want to use this endpoint, you can remove this and you can explicitly give that EC2 instance security group or IP address here. So at moment I'm going with all traffic for outbound roles for this EIC endpoint security group. So that's the recommended setting. Right. So also you can use a default security group that loop back in inbound and outbound is going to allowed for everyone, right? So if you really want, you can use that as well. But I'm not opening anything in inbound and only opened all traffic in outbound. All right. So I'm going to use this security group for my endpoint. So go back here, give a refresh. You see EIC endpoint security group. I'm going to select that. Scroll down. In what subnet you are going to run this. So remember one thing. So if your EC2 instance is running in 1A, better to create this endpoint also in 1A. So you can use for 1B as well. But data transfer from one zone to another zone is going to cost us. And also there is another option here, preserve client IP address. If you really want, you can enable this. So it is going to preserve the client IP address. Now I have initiated to create a VPC endpoint, and you can see the status is in pending state. All right. So once this status changed to available, so then we can get connected to this EC2 instance using this second option. We need that endpoint here. You see here it's grayed out because it's in still creating state only, right? So that's the reason it's grayed out. It's in pending state. Also this is like, whatever the option initially I'm going to show, that is for like, browser based operation. Okay, so you can get connected to this EC2 instance over this browser. But if you want to get connected to this EC2 instance from your local laptop, okay, so then you need to follow some commands. But before that, I want to like, throw some light on an option. So if your EC2 instance already running in a public subnet with a public IP address, you can use this command to, first of all, you use this command to generate a key pair. So we are going to push that key pair to an EC2 instance. Once you push this key pair to an EC2 instance, within 60 seconds, you run this command and you're going to get connected to it. But this feature works only for EC2 instances that is running in public subnet only. But in our case, it's completely different. Our EC2 instance running in private subnet. So all you need to do is you just need to use this command to open a port in our local machine. And we are going to use that port forwarding mechanism to get connected to our EC2 instance. Right. But before that, I want to mention one point that so this feature is introduced just couple of days back. Just 2 days. Even if you observe, this is a official document or from AWS. You see here, it's published on 14th June. So basically this feature introduced on 13th June. Okay. So, even in initial documentation, we don't have much options. So I worked on this, I tested with multiple options, and finally I got a clarity that, first of all, you need to update your AWS CLI tools with latest version. And I strongly recommend AWS need to add that as a first point here. Why? Because I wasted almost like, 4 hours or 5 hours. Right, I'm trying that option. I already have CLI tools in my local laptop. I'm trying and it's like, failing multiple times. So later I realized, okay, let's update my CLI with latest version. Then I tried and it worked. Okay, to update your EC2, your local laptop with AWS latest CLI version, if you're using Windows, you just go to this aws.amazon.com/CLI, go to this URL and you see here Windows operating system. Click on 64-bit, immediately a small file is started downloading here, right? So it's a typical Windows installation. Double click, next, I accept, next, and finish. If you are using Mac operating system, download a package from here. Whatever the package you downloaded, you just install it. Okay, and here is for Linux. So once you completed that, or else you can use this. So you can use this URL to download the latest CLI version 2 package to your local laptop. Then you can install it. All right. So once this installation completed, you can use this command, which AWS, or you can use AWS version. So these commands should display latest version in your local terminal. If I'm observing, I'm entering that command in my local laptop. You see this USR local bin AWS, that's a valid path, and I'm going to give AWS space -- version, and you see here 2.12.0 is the latest version as of today. Right, I'm with latest version, so we are good to use this CLI. And also what you need to do, you need to run AWS space configure. So give an access key ID, secret access key, default region where all your resources are running, default output format, right? So then only you can use this option. So without configuring AWS CLI tools in your local laptop, you can't use this option. All right. So, okay, by this time, the endpoint should be available. All right, it's available. Now, also, you just observe, I already have latest version here. I already configured AWS CLI credentials here. Right. Let's get connected to this EC2 instance. Let me cancel, give a refresh. Let's click on connect. EC2 Instance Connect. It's not allowing me. Why? Because I don't have any public IP address. Click on connect using EC2 Instance Connect endpoint and click here. It is showing an endpoint. Select it, click on connect. Now it's trying to establish a connection and it's established. So one thing, if you're not able to establish connectivity, you need to take care about one thing, so that go to security group of your EC2 instance, whatever security group you have associated here, port number 22 is open for everyone. So, this is not at all recommended setting, right? So, what I suggest you is go and open SSH port here. Right, so under custom, you gave security group of your endpoint. That is one thing. And I also recommend security group of you entire CIDR range of your VPC. This is what my VPC is. I'm going to grab it. Right, I'm going to enter that here. So this is entire VPC CIDR, and also this is security group of endpoint. And also if you want to get connect from your local laptop, so make sure you open your local network, my local network IP, then save rules. So we are not opening it for everyone. To what are the networks we want to open, we open that only. All right. So still this works. There is no harm, no disconnection, nothing. All right. So that is a browser connect option, and we already adjusted the security group as per our requirement. So now the next thing is how we can get connected to this EC2 instance from our local network. But before that, I want to show you one thing. So I want to give a clarity on one thing, that we don't have any internet within this machine. We got connected to this machine. I'm elevating my privileges to root and I'm giving duplicate.google.com. So if we have internet, so it should download that sample file, right? Index.html, right? But you see here connecting to google.com and it is failing. I manually given Control C and it stopped. So technically we don't have internet within this machine. So when you don't have internet and when you don't have a public IP address, can you get connected to from your local laptop? Obviously no, we cannot, right? So but with the help of this EC2 Instance Connect endpoint, we can do that. If you observe this architecture, this is our AWS account. Within this, we have a VPC. Within VPC, we have two subnets, and observe these two are private subnets. Whether it is a Linux or Windows, running in two different subnets, and we created EC2 Instance Connect endpoint. Right, out of the VPC, there is an endpoint service running, that is AWS responsibility. Creating this component is our responsibility, but this component is AWS responsibility. Outside of this AWS cloud, to whatever the instance you are trying to connect, that request will first come to this endpoint service, that forward it to Instance Connect endpoint. This helps us to get connected to this EC2 instance. And if you observe this diagram, nowhere mentioned any internet gateway, nowhere mentioned any NAT gateway or transit gateway. All right. So for this, what you need to do, you first need to have valid permissions for the user you are trying to get connect from your local laptop. I already created a user, or I already have a user with administrator access. I configured that credentials in this machine. We already created this. We are good with this step. And next, we need to get connected to this EC2 instance. So for that, we have multiple options. I just want to grab your attention here for this URL. So we have two options. One is single connection. So you can use this URL to get connected to your EC2 instance with the help of single connect. And if you scroll down, you can use multi-connection. Let's grab the single connection URL. Let me open a notepad. All right. So here we just need to provide the key pair associated to this EC2 instance. Right. So my key pair is where is that on my desktop? Key pairs folder. This is 730 Linux KP. I copied entire key pair instead of rename and copy. All right. So EC2 user, and we need to give EC2 instance ID. Initially, I faced a lot of issues with this command. Then I tried with multiple option, the second option. All right. So whenever you are entering this command from your local laptop, all the important thing is you should be in the location where you have this key pair you're using to get connected to your EC2 instance. For that, I'm going to I'm going to open a terminal, cd desktop key pairs folder. In this location, I have this 730 Linux. All right, let me copy this command and let me provide that here, paste it here, click on enter. And it's asking, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Just type yes, click on enter, and you see we got connected to this EC2 instance now. So you observe one thing, we connected with the help of private IP address. That too, you can double check, it's 8.250, and even in your AWS console it's 8.250. So we are able to get connected to this without any difficulty. And also you can again double check, do we have internet here? No internet. So without any internet also from our local network we are able to get connect. This is one option. We have another option also. I have close connection to this. So the another option is multi-connect. So multi-connection. So if you want to allow multiple connection to an EC2 instance, you can use this. So on port number 8888 from my local machine, I'm going to get connected to it. All we need to do is just copy this command. Right. I paste it here. You just need to adjust this instance ID. So basically our instance ID is this, right? So I'm going to replace that here. And in my local laptop, I'm not using this 8888 port number for anything. So all I need to do is I need to open a terminal. I need to run this command. So then my local system is going to listen on this port. So I should not touch this terminal anymore now. So let me open a new terminal, new window, and I'm navigating to desktop and key pairs, and from this location I can use this command. Okay, so ssh space -i, whatever the key pair you associate to your EC2 instance. EC2 user is a default username, local host, and whatever the local port you defined here that you need to use. So let's copy this. Again, I took this from AWS official documentation only. I just copied and pasted here, and my key pair I'm going to adjust. So let me open the terminal. Right, ssh-i 730 Linux. Right, so next we need to give EC2 user, that's a default username, @localhost space -p, that is nothing but port number 8888. Click on enter, and it's saying something like key verification failed. Okay, Remote host identification has changed. So let me try it again. So, all right, I think I have to disconnect this existing session. I think I already did that. So 8888 is already open. Host key has changed. All right, maybe earlier when I tried, so the 8888 might be used. So I have closed that. Let me do one thing. I'm going to use 8080. Enter. Now it is listening for connection on 8080. And I'm going to use 8080 now. It's asking, are you sure you want to continue connecting? Yes, and you can see that you got connected. So the thing is, like, 8888 I first tested, so then I'm making this video. That's the reason, like, I got that error. So now you see we got connected to this. So this command we have used now. So you should not close this existing window, right? So that's a multi-connection option. So without having a public IP address, without having internet gateway, without having NAD instance, without using a dedicated gem host or Bastian host, we are able to get connected to a private subnet EC2 instance with the help of this endpoint. All right, so that's it for this video. And if you are curious about how to use this EC2 instance connect for a public subnet EC2 instance which already contain a public IP address, so to get connect by using this terminal, I'm going to make a next video on that. So please stay tuned, and please subscribe to this channel for more such type of videos. All right, yeah, thanks for watching this video, guys. I hope you find this video very helpful. Thank you.